And I'm not accusing because it's not like I'm watching all of their games or anything like that. So I'll leave it to those covering the WNBA to really, really dig in and understand why. But when you see the ball consistently in Caitlin Clark's hands, it does make you wonder what the coach is doing. What are you doing? Are you responding to the narratives? Are you responding to the popularity? What are you doing? Because coaching-wise...
Wait a minute. So now you're trying to say the ball is only in Caitlin Clark's hands because she's popular? You do realize Kelsey Mitchell only averages like 2 more points than Caitlin Clark.
Stephen A. Smith has just kicked off one of the biggest debates surrounding the Indiana Fever. Rather than putting his faith in Caitlin Clark when the pressure is at its highest, Smith argued that Kelsey Mitchell should be the player taking the big shots when the game is on the line. His statement immediately triggered a massive reaction, split the fan base, and raised one explosive question. Has the Fever been putting its trust in the wrong star all along?
You can't, as a coach, be giving the ball to Caitlin Clark just because she's Caitlin Clark. Not when you got a Kelsey Mitchell on the floor who is absolutely positively balling for you on a night-in, night-out basis, shooting better from the field, shooting better from three-point range, shooting damn near just as well from the free throw line, and at the same breath averaging 3 less turnovers a night. I mean, that's the person, and she's your leading scorer, Kelsey Mitchell. That is the person. When you see somebody producing like that, you got to get him the ball.
Stephen A. Smith focused heavily on Kelsey Mitchell's scoring efficiency. His argument was straightforward. Mitchell was shooting at a higher percentage, knocking down more three-pointers, and doing a better job of protecting the basketball. If she's the hottest scorer on the floor, then why shouldn't the offense flow through her when the pressure is at its peak? But Caitlin Clark influences the game in ways that don't always show up in the box score. Opposing defenses are built around slowing her down. Teams trap her, pick her up well beyond the three-point line, and send additional defenders in her direction. That level of attention naturally creates open shots and more space for her teammates, including Kelsey Mitchell. That's exactly the dilemma Stephanie White has to manage. Caitlin Clark isn't simply another scorer. She dictates the pace, creates opportunities for others, and stretches defenses with her ability to shoot from deep. Taking the ball out of her hands doesn't just change who gets the final shot. It changes the entire structure of the offense. Instead of looking at how the two stars complement each other, the discussion quickly became Caitlin Clark versus Kelsey Mitchell, playmaker versus scorer, and franchise centerpiece versus leading scorer. Once that storyline took over, the conversation became about far more than basketball. It turned into a debate about what the Indiana Fever should ultimately look like and who should define the team's future.
Hold on, let me get into this. Stephen A., you know nothing but a box score checker. You watch no WNBA games. Pushing this is crazy talk. Kelsey should have the ball because she's allegedly the best player on the Fever. Mitchell is a great ISO scorer, but that's all. She averages only 3 more points while taking more shots and always seeing easy coverage because game plans are made on stopping Caitlin Clark and beating her up every game. Yeah, Kelsey gets 3 more points, but Clark averages 8 assists. Nobody else on that team sets anybody up, especially Kelsey, who was...
Caitlin Clark supporters pushed back strongly because they felt the criticism failed to account for the circumstances surrounding her performances. Clark regularly faces defensive schemes specifically designed to take her out of the game. Double teams, physical pressure, and relentless denial have become standard parts of opposing game plans. Those tactics naturally have an impact on her efficiency. As the primary ball handler who initiates a large portion of Indiana's offense, Clark also carries a higher risk of turnovers because nearly every possession forces her to make difficult decisions under intense pressure. Simply comparing her turnover numbers with those of a scoring-focused guard doesn't always tell the full story, because their responsibilities are fundamentally different. Kelsey Mitchell operates in another offensive role. Her job is primarily to finish possessions, attack scoring opportunities, and put pressure on defenders as a shot creator. Clark, on the other hand, has responsibilities that go far beyond putting points on the scoreboard. She has to read defensive rotations, manipulate help defenders, create spacing, and consistently find ways to generate quality opportunities for her teammates. That difference reflects a debate that has existed throughout basketball history. Many legendary point guards have accumulated more turnovers because they were constantly attempting difficult, high-impact passes. Elite floor generals accept that additional risk because running a dynamic offense often means trying to thread passes through extremely tight windows. Clark fits that mold. Her willingness to attempt ambitious passes can occasionally lead to mistakes, but those same risks can create scoring opportunities that wouldn't exist if she always played it safe. At the same time, Kelsey Mitchell deserves real credit for what she brings to Indiana. Her ability to create her own offense, especially in isolation situations, is one of the Fever's biggest weapons. Without Mitchell's shot-making ability, many of Indiana's close games could become even harder to win. That's why Stephanie White's challenge isn't about choosing one star and abandoning the other. It's about finding the right balance between two players who impact the game in completely different ways. Championship-level offenses rarely demand that every star play the exact same role. Instead, the best teams find ways to combine different skill sets within one cohesive system. That makes the bigger debate far more complicated than simply deciding whose team this should become. Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell contribute to winning in different ways. Reducing the discussion to one statistic or one late-game possession can easily overlook the bigger picture of how elite basketball offenses actually operate.
The WNBA, at least by a few, is under assault. Let's call it what it is. They're under assault. You've got a lot of people, and it's not most, and it's not all, but you have a lot of people. And Commissioner Adam Silver, the NBA, said it best, like political is like political theater, whatever. It's been politicized when it comes to Caitlin Clark. If you're Caitlin Clark,
when major sports personalities publicly debate whether the Indiana Fever should build around Caitlin Clark or Kelsey Mitchell, the discussion becomes much bigger than a simple coaching decision. Every franchise has to think about long-term roster construction, salary management, marketing power, and the timeline for competing at the highest level. Caitlin Clark represents one of the WNBA's biggest commercial draws, while Kelsey Mitchell brings proven scoring production that she has developed over several seasons. Those two realities don't have to compete with each other. For Indiana, the real challenge is finding a way to maximize both players instead of allowing outside narratives to create unnecessary tension. Team chemistry often starts with clearly established expectations. Players are much more likely to embrace different offensive responsibilities when everyone understands the bigger picture. Problems can arise when outside commentary creates comparisons that the players themselves may not even see as a rivalry. That makes communication from the Fever coaching staff extremely important. Caitlin Clark can continue serving as the primary offensive orchestrator, while Kelsey Mitchell remains one of the team's most dangerous scoring weapons. When those roles are properly balanced, the two skill sets can complement each other rather than compete. The financial side of the equation is just as important. Building a roster around multiple stars requires difficult decisions involving contracts, flexibility, and long-term planning. Front offices have to consider production, age, leadership, durability, development, and future potential. Public debates can certainly add pressure, but team executives typically have access to far more information than what gets discussed during television debates. Perhaps the biggest danger is allowing a manufactured rivalry to overshadow the team's actual progress. Every missed shot from Caitlin Clark can suddenly become ammunition for one side, while every scoring outburst from Kelsey Mitchell becomes proof for the other. That cycle might generate headlines, but it doesn't necessarily help the basketball team. Indiana's ultimate ceiling may not depend on choosing between Clark and Mitchell at all. It could depend on figuring out how both stars can consistently make each other better when the pressure is at its highest. Championship teams rarely succeed by getting rid of talent. They succeed by organizing that talent and finding ways for their best players to work together. That is the real challenge facing the Indiana Fever. So now the question is, should Indiana continue building around Caitlin Clark as the engine of its offense, or should Kelsey Mitchell become the primary closer when the game is hanging in the balance? Let us know what you think in the comments.